Mr. Yvonne, are we going to go a polite 5 late?
Sorry, what's that?
Are we going a polite 5 late at 7:05 or?
Hold on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead at OSA. My name is Marie Plett, and I am on faculty here at OSA. We have been working in 2 departments on this play. Both production design and theater students have been working on selected scenes from this play. It's very complicated. It's very, very wordy. I believe that the play sorry, I'm distracted, my apologies. The play is a backstage look at what is happening in Hamlet. 2 minor characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who function as a unit, sort of like Abbott and Costello. They are having their backstage scenes, and we shall see what happens to them. But no one has loved the English language more than Shakespeare and Tom Stoppard, because the amount of words that happen and the word play that happens in this is fantastic. There's a game in one of the scenes called Questions, where the goal of the game is to repeat questions with each other over and over again.
But no one has loved the
And no one is allowed to answer in anything but a question. You will see a fine example of this during the play. It's far more entertaining if you understand that it's a game. Meanwhile, our student directors want to tell you more about both the play and the playwrights. Gus is our first student director, and he will take it away from now.
Hello, my name is Gus Andrian. I am the first student director, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about Tom Stoppard. So Tom Stoppard was born as Thomas Straussler in Czechoslovakia on July 3rd, 1937. He left the country 2 years later in 1939 due to imminent invasion by the Nazis, traveling with his family for multiple years until settling in Britain in 1946 after the war ended. Stoppard first worked as a journalist before pivoting towards becoming a playwright. Stoppard would write many plays over his long career, including plays such as The Real Inspector Hound in 1968 and Travesties in 1974. But his most famous stage piece is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, written in 1966. Tom Stoppard also worked in writing film, adapting and directing Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead to film in 1990, as well as co-writing the Academy Award-winning film Shakespeare in Love in 1998. And now Micaiah is going to talk a little bit more about the play itself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Micaiah, and I'm the other student director of the play, here to tell you a little bit about the play itself. Tom Stoppard, the creator of this play, flipped Shakespeare's Hamlet inside out to create this absurdist play, as we know as Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, first staged at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe in 1966. The story follows both Rosencrantz and Guildenstern through their mishaps and nonsense of playing questions, flipping coins, and forgetting their own names, all while attempting to plot against Hamlet under the King Claudius's command. Along the way, they meet actors who they grow acquainted with and even get invited to their very interesting of a show that they sadly miss.
Correct.
At the end, the two are outsmarted by Hamlet and meet their demise, but hey, at least got some laughs and got to see them forget their own real name. So, yay!
Excellent. Thank you so much, kids. That's a fine example. I believe we're having a little sound issue with backstage. If everyone would just check their mute buttons for me, please, I would appreciate that. And the next thing I want to tell you is OSA is a public charter school for the arts in downtown Oakland. If you or someone you know and love would love to support our school and our excellent theater department, please feel free to donate anytime you like. Go to www.oakarts.com. And you could also possibly purchase tickets for our upcoming fundraiser, which is the Heart of Oakland on April 29th. Meanwhile, we are ready for our show. And first, we will begin with the set design for scene 1. And our first designer?
This set was designed by OSA production design student Joaquin Cunningham. His statement for this piece is as follows. I really wanted it to look like a forest that is never ending. The fog and multiple pathways were my way of doing that.
Heads. 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 Heads.
You know, there is an art to the building up of suspense.
Heads.
So it can be done by luck alone.
Heads.
That's the word I'm after.
Heads. 76 love.
A weaker man might be moved to re-examine his faith. If in nothing else, at least the law of probability.
Heads.
The law of probability has been oddly asserted is something to do with the proposition that if six monkeys were...
Game?
Were they?
Are you?
Game. The law of averages, if I've got this right, means that if 6 monkeys are thrown up in the air for long enough, they would land on their tails about as often as they would land on their
Heads.
Which even at first glance does not strike one as a particularly rewarding speculation in either sense. Even without the monkeys. I mean, you wouldn't bet on it. I mean, I would, but you wouldn't.
Heads.
Would you?
Heads. Heads. Getting a bit of a bore, isn't it?
A bore.
Well,
What about the suspense?
what suspense?
It must be the law of diminishing returns. I feel the spell about to be broken. Well, it was an even chance. My calculations are correct.
85 in a row, beating the record.
Don't be absurd.
Easily.
Is that it then? Is that all?
What?
A new record? Is that as far as you're prepared to go?
Well,
No questions, not even a pause,
you spun them yourself.
not a flicker of doubt.
Well, I won, didn't I?
And if you'd lost, if they'd come down against you 85 times, one after another, just like that,
85 in a row. Tails.
guess, what would you think?
Well, I'd have a good look at your coins for a start.
I'm relieved. At least we can still count on self-interest as a predictable factor. I suppose it's the last to go. Your capacity for trust made me wonder if perhaps you alone touch. We've been spinning coins together since... This is not the first time you've spun coins.
Oh no, we've been spinning coins for as long as I can remember.
How long is that?
I forget. Mind you, 85 times.
Yes.
It'll take some beating, I imagine.
Is that what you imagine? Is that it? No fear.
Fear?
Fear! The crack that might flood your brain with light.
Heads. I'm afraid.
So am I.
I'm afraid it isn't your day.
I'm afraid it is.
89.
It must be indicative of something besides the redistribution of wealth. List of possible explanations. 1. I'm willing it. Inside of where nothing shows, I'm the essence of a man spinning double-headed coins and betting against himself in a private atonement for an unremembered past.
Heads.
2. Time has stopped dead, and the single experience of one coin being spun has been repeated 90 times. On the whole, doubtful. 3. Divine intervention. That is to say, a good turn from above concerning him, children of Israel, or retribution from above concerning me, Lot's wife. 4. A spectacular vindication of the principle that each individual coin spun individually is as likely to come down heads as tails, and therefore should cause no surprise each individual time it does.
I've never known anything like it.
And a syllogism. 1. He has never known anything like it. 2. He has never known anything to write home about. 3. It is nothing to write home about. Home. What's the first thing you remember?
Oh, let's see. The first thing that comes into my head, you mean?
No, the first thing you remember.
Ah. Oh, it's no good. It's gone. It was a long time ago.
You don't get my meaning. What is the first thing after all the things you've forgotten?
Oh, I see. I've forgotten the question.
Are you happy?
What?
Content? At ease?
I suppose so.
What are you going to do now?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
I have no desires. None. There was a messenger. That's right. We were sent for. Syllogism the second. 1. Probability is a factor which operates within natural forces. 2. Probability is not operating as a factor. 3. We are now within unsub or supernatural forces. Discuss. Though not too heatedly.
I'm sorry. What's the matter with you?
The scientific approach to the examination of phenomena is a defense against the pure emotion of fear. Keep tight and continue while there's time. Now, counter to the previous syllogism. Tricky one, follow me carefully. It may prove a comfort. If we postulate, and we just have, that within unsub or supernatural forces, the probability is that the law of probability will not operate as a factor, then we must accept the probability of the first part will not operate as a factor, in which case the law of probability will operate as a factor within unsub or supernatural forces. And since it obviously hasn't been doing so, we can take it that we are not held within unsub or supernatural forces after all, in all probability. That is, which is a great relief to me personally, which it's all very well, except we've been spinning coins together since I don't know when, and in all that time, I don't suppose either of us is more than a couple gold pieces up or down. I hope that doesn't sound surprising, because it's very unsurprising. This is something I'm trying to keep hold of. The equanimity of your average tosser of coins depends upon a law, or rather a tendency, or let us say a probability, that he will not upset himself by losing too much, nor upset his opponent by winning too often. This made for a kind of harmony, and it created a kind of confidence. It related to the fortuitous and the ordained into a reassuring union, which we recognized as nature. The sun came up about as often as it went down in the long run, and a coin showed heads about as often as it showed tails. Then a messenger arrived who'd been sent for. Nothing else happened. 92 coins spun consecutively have come down heads 92 consecutive times, and for the last 3 minutes on the wind of a windless day, I've heard the sound of drums and flute.
Another curious scientific phenomenon is the fact that fingernails grow after death, as does the beard.
What?
Beard.
But you're not dead.
I didn't say they started to grow after death. The fingernails also grow before birth, though not the beard.
What?
Beard. What's the matter with you? The toenails, on the other hand, never grow at all.
The toenails never grow at all.
Do they? It's a funny thing. I cut my fingernails all the time. And every time I think to cut them, they need cutting. Now, for instance. And yet, I never, to the best of my knowledge, cut my toenails. They ought to be curled under my feet by now, but it doesn't happen. I never think about them. Perhaps I cut them absent-mindedly when I'm thinking of something else.
Do you remember the first thing that happened today?
I woke up, I suppose. Oh, I've got it now. That man, a foreigner, he woke us up.
The messenger.
That's it. Pale sky before dawn, a man standing on his saddle to bang on the shutters, shouts, "What's all the row about? Clear off." But then he called our names. You remember that? This man woke us up.
Yes.
You were sent for.
Yes.
That's why we're here. Traveling.
Yes.
It was urgent, a matter of extreme urgency. A royal summons, his very words. Official business and no questions asked. Lights in the stable yard, saddle up and off, headlong and hot foot across the land. Our guides outstripped in breakneck pursuit of our duty, fearful lest we come too late.
Too late for what?
How do I know? We haven't got there yet.
Then what are we doing here, I ask myself.
You might well ask.
We better get on.
You might well think.
We better get on.
Right. On where?
Forward.
Which way did we?
Practically starting from scratch. An awakening. Man standing on his saddle to bang on the shutters. Our names shouted in a certain dawn. Message. Summons. New record for heads and tails, we have not been picked out simply to be abandoned, set loose to find our own way. We are entitled to some direction, I would have thought.
I say.
Yes?
I can hear. I thought I heard music.
Yes.
Like a band. Sounded like a band. Drums.
Yes.
It couldn't have been real.
The colors red, blue, and green are real, but the color yellow is a mystical experience shared by everybody. Demolish.
It must have been thunder, like drums.
A man breaking his journey between one place and another at a third place, no name, character, population, or significance, sees a unicorn cross his path and disappear. That in itself is startling, but there are precedents for such mystical encounters of various kinds. Or, to be less extreme, a choice of persuasions to put it down to fancy. Until, my God, says a second man, I must be dreaming. I thought I saw a unicorn, at which point a dimension is added that makes you experience as alarming as it ever will be. A third witness, you understand, adds no further dimension, but only spreads it thinner, and a fourth thinner still. And the more witnesses there are, the thinner it gets, and the more reasonable it becomes, until it is as thin as reality. The name we give to the common experience. Look, look, recites a crowd, a horse with an arrow in its forehead. It must have been mistaken for a deer.
I knew all along it was a band.
You knew all along it was a band.
Here they come.
I'm sorry it wasn't a unicorn. It would have been nice to have unicorns.
Halt!
An audience.
Don't move.
Perfect. Lucky thing we came along.
For us?
Let us hope so. But to meet two gentlemen on the road, we would not like to meet them off of it.
No.
Well met in fact and just in time.
Why's that?
Why, we grow rusty and you catch us at the very point of decadence. By this time tomorrow, we might have forgotten everything we ever knew. That's a thought, isn't it? We'd be back where we started, improvising.
Tumblers, are you?
We can give you a tumble if that's your taste, and times being what they are. Otherwise, for a jingle of a coin, we can do you a selection of gory romances full of fine cadence and corpses, pirated from the Italian. And it doesn't take much to make a jingle. Even a single coin has music in it. Tragedians, at your command.
My name is Guildenstern, and this is Rosencrantz. I'm sorry. His name is Guildenstern, and I'm Rosencrantz.
A pleasure. We've played to bigger, of course, but quality counts for something. I recognized you at once.
And who are we?
As fellow artists.
I thought we were gentlemen.
For some of us, it's a performance. For others, patronage. There are two sides of the same coin. Or let us say, being as there are so many of us, the same side of two coins. Don't clap too loudly. It's a very old world.
What's your line?
Tragedy, sir. Deaths and disclosures, universal and particular, denouements both unexpected and inexorable, transvestite melodrama on all levels, including the suggestive. We transport you into a world of intrigue and illusion. Songs, if you like. Murders, we can do ghosts and battles on the skirmish level. Heroes, villains, tormented lovers, set pieces in the poetic vein. We can do you rapiers or rape or both, by all means. Faceless wives and ravished virgins, flagrante delicto at a price. But that comes under realism, for which there are special terms. Getting warm, am I?
Well, I don't know.
It costs little to watch and little more if you happen to get caught up in the action. If that's your taste, and, well, times being what they are.
What are they?
Indifferent.
Bad?
Wicked. Now, what precisely is your pleasure? Gentlemen, disport yourselves. There. See anything you like?
What do they do?
Let your imagination run riot. They are beyond surprise.
And how much?
To take part?
To watch.
Watch what?
A private performance.
How private?
Well, there are only two of us. Is that enough?
For an audience, disappointing. For voyeurs, about average.
What's the difference?
10 guilders.
10 guilders?
I mean 8.
Together?
Each. I don't think you understand.
What are you saying?
What am I saying? 7.
Where have you been?
Roundabout. A nest of children carries the custom of the town. Juvenile companies. They are the fashion, but they cannot match our repertoire. We'll stoop to anything if that's your bent.
They'll grow up.
one born every minute. Onward!
Where are you going?
Halt! Home, sir.
Where from?
Home. We're traveling people. We take our chances where we find them.
It was chance then.
Chance?
You found us.
Oh, yes.
You were looking.
Oh, no.
Chance then.
Or fate.
Yours or ours?
It could hardly be one without the other.
Fate then.
Oh, yes. We have no control. Tonight we play to the court or the night after, or to the tavern or not.
Perhaps I can use my influence.
At the tavern.
At the court, I would say I have some influence.
Would you say so?
I have influence yet.
Yet what?
I have influence! You said something about getting caught up in the action.
I did. You're quicker than your friend. Now, for a handful of guilders, I happen to have a private and unkept performance of the rape of the Sabine women. Or rather, woman, or rather, Alfred. Get your skirt on, Alfred.
And for 8, you can participate.
Taking either part.
Or both for 10.
With encores.
Get your skirt off, Alfred.
Oh, it could have been. It didn't have to be obscene. It could have been a bird out of season dropping a bright-colored feather on my shoulder. It could have been a tongueless dwarf standing on the road to point the way. I was prepared. But this, no enigma, no dignity, nothing classical, pretentious, only a comic pornographer with a rabble of prostitutes.
You should have caught us in better times. We were purists then. Onward!
Excuse me.
Halt! Alfred!
You're not exclusively players then?
We're inclusively players, sir.
So you give exhibitions?
Performances, sir.
Yes, of course. There's more money in that, is there?
There's more trade, sir.
Times being what they are.
Yes.
Indifferent.
Completely.
You know, I had no idea.
No.
I mean, I've heard of, but I've never actually.
No.
I mean, what is it exactly that you do?
We keep to our usual stuff. More or less. Inside and out. I mean, we do the things on stage that usually wouldn't happen only off of it, which is kind of integrity if you look at every exit being an entrance somewhere else.
Well, I'm not really the type of man who. No, but don't hurry off. Sit down and tell us about some of the things that people ask you to do.
Onward!
Just a minute. Well, all right. I wouldn't mind seeing just an idea of the kind of. What will you do for that?
On. What are you playing at?
Filth. Disgusting. I'll report you to the authorities. I know your game all right. It's all filth.
Do you like a bet?
What kind of bet did you have in mind?
Double or quits?
Well, heads.
Again? Evens? Heads? Again?
Heads.
Heads?
Tails.
Heads?
No! They don't like the odds.
You were right. Heads. Heads, I win.
No!
Try it again. Heads, I win.
No!
And right again. Heads, I win.
No.
Would you believe it? Bet me the year of my birth doubled is an odd number.
Your birth.
If you don't trust me, don't bet with me.
Would you trust me?
Bet me then.
My birth.
Odd numbers, you win.
You're on.
Good. Year of your birth, double it. Even numbers I win, odd numbers you lose.
We have no money.
Yeah.
Ah, then what have you got? Was it for this?
It's the best we got.
Times are bad indeed. The very air stinks. Come here, Alfred. Do you lose often?
Yes, sir.
Then what can you have left to lose?
Nothing, sir.
Do you like being an actor?
No, sir.
You and I, Alfred, you and I could create a dramatic precedent here. Come, Alfred. This is no way to flood the streets of Europe. Do you know any good plays?
Plays.
Exhibitions?
I thought you said you were actors.
Oh, well, we are, but there hasn't been much call.
You lost. Well then, one of the Greeks perhaps. You're familiar with the tragedies of antiquity, are you? Great homicidal classics, Matri, Prachi, Frachi, Sorori, Uxori. It goes without saying.
Saucy.
Suicidal, Maidens aspiring to godheads.
And vice versa.
Your kind of thing, is it?
Well, no, I can't say it is, really. We're more of the blood, love, and rhetoric school.
Well, I'll leave the choice to you. If there is anything to choose between them.
Well, they're hardly divisible, sir. I mean, well, I can do you blood and love without the rhetoric, and I can do you rhetoric and blood without the love, and I can do you all three consecutive or concurrent, but I can't do you love and rhetoric without the blood. Blood is compulsory, you see?
Is that what people want?
It's what we do.
Thank you. We'll let you know.
38?
Position?
Sir?
One of your tableaus?
No, sir.
Oh,
Entrance is there and there.
Well, aren't you going to change into your costume?
I never change out of it.
Always in character.
That's it.
Well, aren't you going to come on?
I am on.
But if you are on, you can't come on, can you?
I start on.
But it hasn't started. Go, we'll look out for you.
I'll give you the wave.
excuse me. Thank you.
Come on.
I say, that was lucky.
What?
It was tails.
We now move indoors for scene 2 in the Danish court.
This set was designed by me, Anna De Leon. I am an OSA production design senior and the stage manager for this production. My focus for this design was aesthetics. I wanted to replicate the feeling of being in a decadent, palace. I tried to incorporate the aesthetics and grandeur of the royal castles and ballrooms. I also tried to give the environment a warm feeling in order to reflect the good-spirited, humorous nature of the play. I created this image using Adobe Photoshop.
Welcome, dear Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Moreover, that we did much long to see you, the need we have to use you did provoke our hasty standing. Something have you heard of Hamlet's transformation, so call it, Sith, North exterior,
That's not right.
inward man, resembles that it was what it should be more than his father's death, and thus hath put him so much from the understanding of himself I cannot dream of. I entreat you both, that being so young days brought up with him, and sith so neighbor to his youth, and haver that your vouchsafe your rest here in our court, some little time so by your companies, to draw him onto your pleasures and gather so much as from occasion you may glean, whether aught to us unknown afflicts him thus, that open lies within our remedy.
Good. Gentlemen, he hath much talked of you, and sure I am, there are two men there not living, to whom he more adheres. If it will please you to show us so much gentry and goodwill as to extend your time with us a while for the supply and profit of our hope, your visitation shall receive such thanks as fits a king's remembrance.
Both, your majesties, might, by the sovereign power you have of us, put your dread pleasures more into command than to entreaty.
But we both obey and here give up ourselves in the full bent to lay our service freely at your feet to be commanded.
Thanks, Rosencrantz, and gentle Guildenstern.
Thanks, Guildenstern, and gentle Rosencrantz. And I beseech you instantly to visit my too much changed son. Go, some of you, and bring these gentlemen where Hamlet is.
Heaven make our presence and our practices pleasant and helpful to him.
Aye, amen.
The ambassadors from Norway, my good lord, are joyfully returned.
Thou still hast been father of good news.
Have I, my lord? Assure you, my good liege, I hold my duty like I hold my soul, both to my God and my gracious king. And I do think, or else the brain of mine hunts not the trail of policy, nor sure as it hath used to do, but I think I have found the very cause of Hamlet's lunacy.
I want to go home.
Don't let them confuse you.
I'm out of my step here.
We'll soon be home and high. Dry and home,
It's all over my death.
I'll hie you home and
Out of my head.
dry you high and
Over my step, over my head body, I tell you. It's all stopping to a death. It's boating to a death, stepping to a head. It's all heading to a dead stop.
there. And we'll soon be home and dry and high and dry. Has it ever happened to you that all of a sudden, for no reason at all, you haven't the faintest idea how to spell the word wife or house, because when you write it down, you just can't remember ever having seen those letters in that order before?
I remember.
Yes,
I remember when there were no questions.
there were always questions. To exchange one set for another is no great matter.
Answers, yes, there were answers to everything.
You've forgotten.
I haven't forgotten how I used to remember my own name. And yours, yes. There were answers everywhere you looked. There was no question about it. People knew who I was, and if they didn't, they asked, and I told them.
You did. The trouble is, each one of them is plausible without being instinctive. All your life, you live so close to the truth, it becomes a permanent blur in the corner of your eye. And when something nudges it into outline, it is like being ambushed by a grotesque. A man standing in a saddle in the half-lit, half-alive dawn banged on the shutters and called two names. He was just a hat and a cloak, levitating in the great plume of his own breath. But when he called, we came. That much is certain, we came.
Well, I can tell you, I'm sick to the death of it. I don't care one way or another. So why don't you make up your mind?
We can't afford anything quite so arbitrary, nor did we come all this way for a christening. All that preceded us. But we are comparatively fortunate. We might have been left to sift the whole field of human nomenclature like two blind men looting a bazaar for their own portraits. At least we are presented with alternatives.
Well, as for
But
now,
not choice.
you made me look ridiculous in there.
I looked just as ridiculous as you did.
Consistency is all I ask.
Give us this day our daily mask.
I want to go home. Wait, which way did we come in? I've lost my sense of direction.
The only beginning is birth and the only end is death. If you can't count on that, what can you count on?
We don't owe anything to anyone.
We've been caught up. Your smallest action sets off another somewhere else and is set off by it. Keep an eye open, an ear cocked, tread warily, follow instructions. We'll be all right.
For how long?
Till events have played themselves out. There's a logic. At work, it's all done for you. Don't worry. Enjoy it. Relax. To be taken in hand and led, like being a child again, even without the innocence of child, it's like being given a prize, an extra slice of childhood when you least expect it, as a prize for being good or compensation for never having had one. Do I contradict myself?
I can't remember. What have we got to go on?
We have been briefed Hamlet's transformation. What do you recollect?
Well, he's changed, hasn't he? The exterior and inward man fails to resemble.
Draw him onto pleasures. Glean what afflicts him.
Something more than his father's death.
He's always talking about us. There aren't two people living whom he dotes on more than us.
We cheer him up, find out what's the matter.
Exactly. It's a matter of asking the right questions and giving away as little as we can. It's a game.
And then we can go.
And receive such thanks as fits a king's remembrance.
I like the sound of that. What do you think he means by remembrance?
He doesn't forget his friends.
Would you care to estimate?
Difficult to say, really. Some kings tend to be amnesiac, others, I suppose, the opposite, whatever that is.
Yes, but...
Alphantine?
Not how long, how much.
Retentive. He's a very retentive king, a loyal retainer.
What are you playing at?
Words. Words. They're all we have to go on.
Shouldn't we be doing something constructive?
What did you have in mind? A short, blunt human pyramid?
We could go.
Where?
After him.
Why? They've got us placed now. If we start moving around, we'll all be chasing each other all night.
How very intriguing. I feel like a spectator at an appalling business. The only thing that makes it bearable is the irrational belief that somebody interesting will come on in a minute.
See anyone?
No. You?
No. What a fine persecution, to be kept intrigued without ever quite being enlightened. We've had no practice.
We could play at questions.
What good would that do?
Practice.
Statement one, love.
Cheating.
No.
I hadn't started yet.
Statement two, love.
Are you counting that?
What?
Are you counting that?
Foul, no repetitions. Three, love. First game two.
I'm not going to play if we're going to be like that.
Who serve?
Ha!
Foul, no grunts. Love one.
Who's go?
Why?
Why not?
What for?
Foul, no synonyms. One all.
What in God's name is going on?
Foul, no rhetoric. 2, 1.
What is it all add up to?
Can't you guess?
Are you addressing me?
Is there anyone else?
Who?
How would I know?
Why do you ask?
Are you serious?
Is that rhetoric?
No.
Statement two, all, game point.
What's the matter with you today?
When?
What?
Are you deaf?
Am I dead?
Yes or no?
Is there a choice?
Is there a God?
Foul, no non sequiturs. 3, 2, 1, game all.
What's your name?
What's yours?
I asked you first.
Statement 1, love.
What's your name when you're at home?
What's yours?
When I'm at home?
Is it different at home?
What home?
Haven't you got one?
Why do you ask?
What are you driving at?
What's your name?
Repetition 2, love, match point to me.
Who do you think you are?
Rhetoric, game and match. When's it going to end?
That's the question.
It's all questions.
Do you think it matters?
Doesn't matter to you?
Why should it matter?
What does it matter? Why?
Doesn't it matter why it matters?
What's the matter with you?
It doesn't matter.
What's the game?
What are the rules? Rosencrantz.
What?
There. How was that?
Clever.
Natural?
Instinctive.
Got it in your head?
I take my hat off to you.
Shake hands.
Now, I'll try you. Gil.
Not yet. Catch me unawares.
Right. Ready?
Don't be stupid.
Sorry.
Guildenstern.
What?
Consistency is all I ask.
Immortality is all I seek.
Give us this day our daily week.
Who was that?
Didn't you know him?
He didn't know me.
He didn't see you.
I didn't see him.
We shall see. I hardly knew him. He's changed.
You can see that?
Transformed.
How do you know?
Inside and out.
I see.
He's not himself.
He's changed.
I could see that. Glean what afflicts him.
Me?
Him.
How?
Question and answer. Old ways are the best ways.
He's afflicted.
You question, I'll answer.
He's not himself, you know.
I'm him, you see?
Who am I then?
You're yourself.
And he's you?
Not a bit of it.
Are you afflicted?
That's the idea. Are you ready?
Let's go back a bit.
I'm afflicted.
I see.
Glean what afflicts me.
Right.
Question and answer.
How should I begin?
Address me.
My dear Guildenstern.
You've forgotten, haven't you?
My dear Rosencrantz.
I don't think you quite understand. What we are attempting is a hypothesis in which I answer for him while you ask me questions.
Ah. Ready?
You know what to do?
What?
Are you stupid?
Pardon?
Are you deaf?
Did you speak?
Not now.
Statement.
Not now! If I had any doubts, or rather hopes, they are dispelled. What could we possibly have in common except our situation? Perhaps he'll come back this way.
Should we go?
Why?
Oh, you mean you pretend to be him and I ask you questions.
Very good.
You had me confused.
I could see I had.
How should I begin?
Address me.
My honored lord.
My dear Rosencrantz.
Am I pretending to be you then?
Certainly not. If you like. Shall we continue?
Question and answer.
Right.
Right. My honored lord.
My dear fellow.
How are you?
Afflicted.
Really? In what way?
Transformed.
Inside or out?
Both.
I see. Not much new here.
Go into details, delve, probe the background, establish the situation.
So your uncle is the king of Denmark.
And my father before him.
His father before him.
No, my father before him.
But surely.
You might well ask.
Let me get it straight. Your father was king. You are his only son. Your father dies. You are of age. Your uncle becomes king.
Yes.
Unorthodox.
Undid me.
Undeniable. Where were you?
In Germany.
Usurpation then.
He slipped in.
Which reminds me.
Well, it would.
I don't want to be personal.
It's common knowledge.
Your mother's marriage?
He slipped in.
His body was still warm.
So was hers.
Extraordinary.
Decent.
Hasty.
Suspicious.
It makes you think.
Don't think I haven't thought of it.
And with her husband's brother,
They were close.
she went to him
Too close.
for comfort.
It looks bad.
It adds up.
Incest? To
Would
adultery?
you go so far?
Never.
To sum up, your father, whom you love, dies. You are his heir. You come back to find out that Hartley was the corpse cold before his young brother popped onto his throne and into his sheets, thereby offending both legal and natural practice. Now, why exactly are you behaving in such extraordinary manner?
I can't imagine. But all that is well known, common property, yet he sent for us, and we did come.
I say, I heard music,
We're here.
like a band. I thought I heard a band.
Rosencrantz
What?
Guildenstern?
What?
Don't you discriminate at all?
What?
Go and see if he's there.
Who?
There.
Yes.
What is he doing?
Talking.
To himself? Is he alone?
No,
He's not talking to himself, is he?
not by himself. Coming this way, I think. Should we go?
Why, we're marked now.
For you yourself, sir, should be as old as I am. If like a crab, you could go backwards.
Though this be madness, yet there is method in it. Will you walk out of the air, my lord?
It's my grave.
Indeed, that's out of the air. My lord, I will take my leave of you.
You cannot take from me anything that I will more willingly part withal. Except my life, except my life, except my life.
Fare you well, my lord. You go seek Lord Hamlet? There he is.
God save you, sir.
My honored lord.
My most dear lord.
My excellent good friends, how dost thou, Guildenstern, Rosencrantz, good lads, how do you both?
And now we are moving to Act 2. This will be our third scene, and we are still in the Danish court. This set was designed by Emily Leonard.
There's blood. There's something in this more than natural. Philosophy could find it out.
There are the players.
Gentlemen, welcome to Elsinore. Your hands, come then. The appurtenance of welcome is fashion and ceremony. Let me comply with you in this garb. It's my extent to the players, which I tell you I must show fairly outwards, should appear more like entertainment than yours. You are welcome. But my uncle, father, and aunt, mother are deceived.
In what, my dear lord?
I am but mad north-northwest. The wind is southerly. I know a hawk from a handsaw.
We'll be with you, gentlemen.
Mark you, Guildenstern, and you too. To each ear a hearer. That great baby you see there is not yet out of his swaddling clouds.
My lord, I have news to tell you.
My lord, I have news to tell you. Rosicus was an actor in Rome.
The actors are come hither, my lord.
Buzz buzz.
Yes?
What?
I thought you...
No.
Ah.
I think we can say we made some headway.
You think so?
I think we can say that.
I think we can say he made us look ridiculous.
We played it close to the chest, of course.
Question and answer, old ways are the best ways. He was scoring off us all down the line.
He caught us on the wrong foot once or twice, perhaps, but I thought we gained some ground.
He murdered us.
He might have had the edge.
27-3, and you think he might have had the edge. He murdered us.
What about our evasions?
Oh, our evasions were lovely. Were you sent for? He says, my lord, we were sent for. I didn't know where to put myself.
He had 6 rhetoricals.
It was question and answer, all right. 27 questions. He got out in 10 minutes and answered 3. I was waiting for you to delve. When's he going to start delving? I was asking myself.
And 2 repetitions.
Hardly a leading question between us.
We got his symptoms, didn't we?
Half of what he said meant something else, and the other half didn't mean anything at all.
Thwarted ambition. A sense of grievance. That's my diagnosis.
6 rhetorical and 2 repetition, leaving 19, of which we answered 15. And what did we get in return? He's depressed. Denmark's a prison and he'd rather live in a nutshell. Some shadow play about the nature of ambition, which never got down to cases. And finally, one direct quotation, which might have led somewhere and led, in fact, to his illuminating claim to tell a hawk from a handsaw.
When the wind is southerly.
And the weather's clear.
And when it isn't, he can't.
He's at the mercy of the elements. Is that southerly?
Doesn't look southerly. What made you think so?
I didn't say I think so. It could be northerly for all I know.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so.
If you're going to be dogmatic.
Wait a minute. We came from roughly south according to a rough map.
I see. Well, which way did we come in? Roughly.
In the morning, the sun would be easterly. I think we can assume that.
That it's morning.
If it is, and the sun is over there, for instance, that would be northerly. On the other hand, if it is not morning and the sun is over there, that would still be northerly. To put it another way, if we came from down there and it is morning, the sun would be up there, and if it's actually over there and it's still morning, we must have come from up there. And if that is southerly and the sun is really over there, then it's the afternoon. However, if none of these is the case...
Why don't you just go and have a look?
Pragmatism? Is that all you have to offer? You seem to have no conception of where we stand. You won't find the answer written down for you in the bowl of a compass, I can tell you that. Besides, you can never tell this far north. It's probably dark out there.
I merely suggest that the position of the sun, if it is out, would give you a rough idea of the time. Alternatively, if the clock, if it is going, would give you a rough idea of the position of the sun. I forget what you're trying to establish.
I'm trying to establish the direction of the wind.
There isn't any wind. Draft, yes.
In that case, the origin. Trace it to its source and it might give us a rough idea of the way we came in, which might give us a rough idea of south for further reference.
It's coming up through the floor. That can't be south, can it?
That's not a direction. Like your toe and wave it around a bit.
No. I think you'd have to look it for me.
I'm prepared to let the whole matter drop.
Or I could lick yours, of course.
No, thank you.
I'll even wave it around for you.
What in God's name is the matter with you?
Just being friendly.
Somebody might come in. That's what we're counting on after all. Ultimately.
Perhaps they've all trampled each other to death in the rush. Give them a shout, something provocative. Intrigue them.
Wheels have been set in motion, and they have their own pace, to which we are condemned. Each move is dictated by the previous one. That is the meaning of order. If we start being arbitrary, it'll just be a shambles, or at least let us hope so. Because if we happen to discover or even suspect that our spontaneity was part of their order, we'd know we were lost. A Chinaman of the Tang Dynasty, and by which definition a philosopher, dreamed he was a butterfly. And from that moment, he was never quite sure that he was not a butterfly, dreaming it was a Chinese philosopher. Envy him in his twofold security.
Fire!
Where?
It's all right. I'm demonstrating the misuse of free speech to prove that it exists. Not a move. They should burn to death in their shoes.
What was it?
What?
Heads or tails?
Oh, I didn't look.
Yes, you did.
Oh, did I? Quite right. It rings a bell.
What's the last thing you remember?
I don't wish to be reminded of it.
We cross our bridges when we come to them and burn them behind us with nothing to show for our progress except a memory of the smell of smoke and a presumption that once our eyes watered.
No? Double both?
Come, sirs.
Boom, friends. We'll hear play tomorrow. Just now hear me, old friend. Can you play me The Murder of Gonzago?
Aye, my lord.
Then we'll hear it tomorrow night. You could for a need study a speech of some dozen or 16 lines, which I would set down and insert in it. Could you not?
Aye, my lord.
Very well. Follow that lord and look you mock him not. My good friends, I'll leave you tonight. You're welcome to Elsinore.
Good, my lord.
So you've caught up.
Not yet, sir.
Now mind your tongue, or we'll have it out and throw the rest of you away like a nightingale at a Roman feast.
Took the very words out of my mouth.
You'd be lost for words.
You'd be tongue-tied.
Like a mute in a monologue.
Like a nightingale at a Roman feast.
Your diction will go to pieces.
Your lines will be cut.
2 dumb shows.
And dramatic pauses.
You'll never find your tongue.
Lick your lips.
Taste your tears.
Your breakfast.
You won't know the difference.
There won't be any.
We'll take the very words out of your mouth.
So you've caught on.
So you caught up.
Not yet! You left us.
Ah, I'd forgotten. You performed a dramatic spectacle on the way. Yes, I'm sorry we had to miss it.
We can't look each other in the face. You don't understand the humiliation of it. To be tricked out of the single assumption which makes our existence viable, that somebody is watching. The plot was 2 courses gone before we caught sight of ourselves, stripped naked in the middle of nowhere and pouring ourselves down a bottomless well.
Is that 38?
There we were, demented children mincing about in clothes that no one ever wore, speaking as no man ever spoke, swearing love in wigs and rhymed couplets, killing each other with wooden swords, hollow protestations of faith hurled after empty promises of vengeance, and every gesture, every pose, vanishing into the thin, unpopulated air. We ransomed our dignity to the clouds, and the uncomprehending birds listened. Don't you see? We're actors. We're the opposite of people. Think, in your head, now, think of the most private, secret, intimate thing you have ever done, securing the knowledge of its privacy. Are you thinking of it? Well, I saw you do it.
You never. It's a lie.
We're actors. We pledged our identity secure in the conventions of our trade, that someone would be watching, and then gradually no one was. We were caught high and dry. It was not until the murderer's long soliloquy that we were able to look around. Frozen as we were in profile, our eyes searched you out, first confidently, then hesitantly, then desperately as each patch of turf, each log, every exposed corner in every direction proved uninhabited, and all while the murderous king addressed the horizon with his dreary and terminable guilt. Our heads began to move. wary as lizards, as the corpse of unsullied Rosalinda peeped through his fingers, and the king faltered. Even then, habit and a stubborn trust that our audience spied upon us from behind the nearest bush forced our bodies to blunder on long they had indeed a meaning, until like runaway carts they dragged to a halt. No one came forward, no one shouted at us. The silence was unbreakable. It imposed itself upon us. It was obscene. We took off our crowns and swords and cloth of gold and moved silent on the road to Elsinore.
Brilliantly recreated, if these eyes could weep. Rather strong on the metaphor, mind you. No criticism, only a matter of taste. And so here you are, with a vengeance. That's a figure of speech, isn't it? Well, let's say we've made up for it, for you have no doubt whom to thank for your performance at the court.
We are counting on you to take him out of himself. You are the pleasures which we draw him onto. And by that, I don't mean your usual filth. You can't treat royalty like people with normal perverted desires. They know nothing of that, and you know nothing of them, to your mutual survival. So we'll give him a good, clean show, suitable for all the family, or you can rest assured you'll be playing the tavern tonight.
Or the night after.
Or not.
We already have an entry here, and always have had.
You've played for him before?
Yes, sir.
And what's his bent?
Classical.
Saucy.
What will you play?
The Murder of Gonzago.
Full of fine cadence and corpses.
Pirated from the Italian.
What is it about?
It's about a king and queen.
Escapism. What else?
Blood.
Love and rhetoric.
Yes.
Where are you going?
I can come and go as I please.
You're evidently a man who knows his way around.
I've been here before.
We're still finding our feet.
I should concentrate on not losing your heads.
Do you speak from knowledge?
Precedent.
You've been here before.
And I know which way the wind is blowing.
Operating on 2 levels, are we? How clever. I expect it comes naturally to you, being in the business, so to speak. The truth is, we value your company for want of any other. You've been left so much to our own devices. After a while, one welcomes the uncertainty of being left to other people's.
Uncertainty is the normal state. You're nobody special.
But for God's sake, what are we supposed to do?
Relax. Respond. That's what people do. You can't go through life questioning your situation at every turn.
But we don't know what's going on or what to do with ourselves. We don't know how to act.
Act natural. You know why you're here at least.
We only know what we're told, and that's little enough. And for all we know, it isn't even true.
For all anyone knows, nothing is. Everything has to be taken on trust. Truth is only that which is taken to be true. It's the currency of living. There may be nothing behind it, but it doesn't make any difference so long as it is honored. One acts on assumptions. What do you assume?
Hamlet is not himself, inside or in. We have to glean what afflicts him.
He doesn't give much away.
Who does nowadays?
He's melancholy.
Melancholy?
Mad.
How is he mad?
Ah. How is he mad?
More morose than mad, perhaps.
Melancholy.
Moody.
He has moods.
Of moroseness?
Madness, and yet...
Quite.
For instance.
He talks to himself, which might be madness.
If he didn't talk sense, which he does.
Which suggests the opposite.
Of what?
I think I have it. A man talking sense to himself is no madder than a man talking nonsense not to himself.
Or just as mad.
Or just as mad.
And he does both.
So there you are.
Stark raving sane.
Why?
Why?
Exactly.
Exactly what?
Exactly why?
Exactly why what?
What?
Why?
Why what exactly?
Why is he mad?
I don't know.
The old man thinks he's in love with his daughter.
Good God, we're out of our depth here.
No. He hasn't got a daughter. The old man thinks he's in love with his daughter.
The old man is.
Hamlet, in love with the old man's daughter, the old man thinks.
Huh. It's beginning to make sense. Unrequited passion.
Nobody leaves this room without a very good reason.
Why not?
All this strolling about is getting too arbitrary by half. I'm rapidly losing my grip. From now on, reason will prevail.
I have lines to learn.
Pass.
Next!
What did you expect?
Something, nothing. Are you hungry?
No, are you?
No. Remember that coin?
No.
I think I lost it.
What coin?
I don't remember exactly.
Oh, that coin. Clever.
I can't remember how I did it.
Probably comes natural to you.
Yes, I've got a showstopper there.
Do it again.
We can't afford it.
Yes, one must think of the future.
It's the normal thing.
To have one. One is, after all, having it all the time. Now. And now. And now.
It could go on forever. Well, not forever, I suppose. Do you ever think of yourself as actually dead? Lying in a box with a lid on it?
No.
Nor do I, really. It's silly to be depressed by it. I mean, one thinks of it as being like being alive in a box. One keeps forgetting to take into account the fact that one is dead, which should make all the difference, shouldn't it? I mean, you never know you were in a box, would you? It would be just like being asleep in the box. Not that I'd like to sleep in a box, mind you, not without any air. You'd wake up dead for a start, and then where would you be? Apart from inside a box. Now that's the bit I don't like, frankly. That's why I don't think of it. Because you'd be helpless, wouldn't you, stuffed in a box like that? I mean, you'd be in there forever, even taking into account the fact that you're dead. It isn't a pleasant thought, especially if you're dead. Really, ask yourself, if I asked you straight off, I'm going to stuff you in this box now, would you rather be alive or dead? Naturally, you'd prefer to be alive. Life in a box is better than no life at all, I expect. You'd have a chance, at least. You could lie in there thinking, well, at least I'm not dead. In a minute, someone's gonna bang on the lid and tell me to come out. Hey, what's your name? Come on out of there.
You don't have to flog it to death.
I wouldn't think about it if I were you. You'd only get depressed. Eternity is a terrible thought. I mean, where's it gonna end?
Death followed by eternity. The worst of both worlds. It is a terrible thought.
And now we move to the final scene of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
In our experience, most things end in death.
Death for all ages and occasions. Death by suspension, convulsion, consumption, incision, execution, affixation, and malnutrition. Climactic carnage by poison and by steel. Double death by duel. Show! So there's an end to that. It's commonplace. Light goes with life, and in the winter of your years, the dark comes early.
No, not like that. Not for us. Dying is not romantic. Death is not a game which will soon be over. Death is not anything. Death is not. It's the absence of presence, nothing more. The endless time of never coming back. A gap you can't see, and when the wind blows through it, it makes no sound.
That's it then, is it? Sun's going down, or the Earth's coming up, as the fashionable theory has it. Not that it makes any difference.
Wait, what was it all about? When did it even begin? Couldn't we just stay put? I mean, no one is going to come on and drag us off. They'll have to just wait. We're still young, fit. We've got years.
We've done nothing wrong. We didn't harm anyone. Did we?
I can't remember.
All right then. I don't care. I've had enough. To tell you the truth, I'm relieved.
Our names, shouted in a certain dawn. A message, a summons. There must have been a moment at the beginning when we could have said no. But somehow we missed it. Rosen? Gil? Well, we'll know better next time. Now you see me? Now you...
The sight is dismal, and our affairs from England come too late. The ears are senseless that should give us hearing to tell him his commandment is fulfilled, that Rosencrantz and Guilderstern are dead.
Yay, guys, you all did it. Good job.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yay.
We're live, but we can shout you out.
Now you guys can do that. I'm going to stop the live stream so that we can congratulate you and hang out.